When life slams the door in your face, when someone tells you that you're not good enough, when the world spits rejection in your eyes, that's the moment your real story begins. Rejection is not the end, it's the spark. It's the universe throwing you a challenge. How badly do you want this? How much pain can you endure before you break? You can sit down, cry, and convince yourself you're worthless, or you can take that pain, crush it into fuel, and turn it into fire that no one can extinguish. Every legend you admire was rejected 1,000 times more than you, and they smiled in the face of rejection because deep down they knew accepting rejection is the first step to owning power. Don't waste energy begging for acceptance. Don't seek validation from people too blind to see your worth. Walk away, grow stronger, and build a life so undeniable that the same doors that once closed on you will break themselves down trying to let you in. Remember, rejection isn't weakness, it's a weapon hand to you. Either you pick it up or you let it cut you down. Rejection is proof you're trying. Think about it for a moment. If you never put yourself out there, if you never risk anything, you'll never hear the word no. The people who live the safest, most unchallenged lives are the ones who stay inside their comfort zones, who never step beyond the limits of what they already know. They never ask, they never reach, they never fail. But here's the truth. They also never grow. The very fact that you've faced rejection means you've stepped into the arena. You've dared to ask for more, dared to push yourself into situations where the outcome wasn't guaranteed. That's courage. That's proof that you're alive in the fight while others are still hiding. Rejection hurts, yes. It burns deep in your chest, makes you doubt your worth, makes you question whether you should even try again. But that pain is a signal. It's life telling you you moved, you acted, you didn't just sit still. People who never hear rejection have chosen the path of least resistance. They've chosen silence over risk, safety over greatness. They think they're protecting themselves, but what they're really doing is avoiding the very experiences that could transform them into something more. Every rejection is a badge of honor because it means you care enough to try. Think about the most successful people you know or admire. Do you honestly believe they got there without rejection? Every author you've ever read had their manuscript thrown in the trash by publishers who didn't see the vision. Every athlete you admire has been told at some point that they were good enough, weren't strong enough, weren't talented enough. Every business leader has heard no more times than they can count. Rejection isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign you're chasing something that matters, something big enough to stir resistance. If your goals don't invite rejection, they're too small. The beauty of rejection lies in the truth it exposes. It strips away comfort and forces you to confront reality. Maybe you weren't ready yet. Maybe your strategy was flawed. Maybe you aimed for the wrong door. That's not failure, that's feedback. Rejection hands you a mirror and dares you to either break down or level up. And when you choose to rise, you become sharper, more resilient, more unshakable than before. Every rejection carries the seed of growth, but you only harvest it if you accept it and keep moving forward. Rejection also teaches you that the world doesn't revolve around you, and that's liberating. Not everyone will want you, not every opportunity will be yours, not every dream will come easily, but that doesn't diminish your value. It only means you're playing in a universe full of choices, full of competition, full of doors. Some will slam, but others will swing open if you're bold enough to keep knocking. The people who quit after hearing no once are the same people who live a life of regret. The ones who take rejection, feel the sting, and then step up again, those are the ones who carve their names into history. When you face rejection, don't crumble, smile, because it's evidence your emotion. It's evidence you're walking a path most people avoid. Every no you collect becomes proof that you're out there, testing your limits, expanding your reach, fighting for something better. One rejection means nothing in the grand scheme, but stacking hundreds of rejections means you've had the courage to try 100 times more than the average person. That's not loss, that's a legacy. The next time rejection slaps you in the face, don't interpret it as failure. Interpret it as a signpost that you're on the journey. It means you're alive enough to risk heartbreak, bold enough to chase what you want, and strong enough to take a hit. Do you know how many people never taste rejection because they never taste life? Don't envy them. Don't compare yourself to their fragile comfort. Rejection makes you dangerous because once you've been told no and survived, you realize you're unstoppable. The truth is, rejection is a test of character. It asks you, will you break? Or will you bend and rise again? Will you let someone else's judgment define your worth? Or will you define it yourself by refusing to quit? Every rejection is proof you're in the arena while others watch from the stands. The crowd doesn't get rejected because they don't play. The fighter does, and the fighter grows. So embrace rejection as the most honest confirmation that you're actually living. It's the scar that shows you dared to fight, the bruise that proves you tried, the cut that heals into strength. If you're being rejected, you're already ahead of the people who never even begin. Keep walking, keep pushing, keep trying, because rejection is not the enemy, it's the evidence that you're on the right road. The road to greatness is paved with rejection, and the more you collect, the closer you are to winning. Acceptance of rejection fuels growth, and until you learn to embrace it instead of resisting it, you'll always feel stuck. The truth is that rejection is inevitable as part of the human experience. No matter how talented, intelligent, or driven you are, there will be moments when life tells you no, people will walk away, opportunities will collapse, and doors you desperately wanted to open will slam shut in your face. At first, rejection feels like a storm crashing over you, leaving you breathless, humiliated, and weak. But when you stop running from it and instead accept it for what it is, you unlock a powerful shift. Rejection becomes not your enemy, but your greatest teacher. Acceptance is the turning point. When you fight rejection, you waste your energy on bitterness, self-pity, or blame. You sit in the dark asking, why me? As if you're the only person ever told no. But when you accept rejection, you free yourself from that trap. You look at the situation with honesty and say, this wasn't for me right now, and that's okay. That acceptance doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're strong enough to acknowledge reality and adapt. Growth only comes when you face the truth. And rejection is one of the rawest truths you'll ever encounter. Think about it. Rejection strips away illusions. If you didn't get the job, maybe it's because you need to sharpen your skills or approach the opportunity differently. If someone rejects you in a relationship, maybe it's because they weren't aligned with your values or vision for the future. If your idea is rejected, maybe it wasn't communicated well enough, or maybe it needs refining. Acceptance of rejection isn't about saying, I failed and I deserve nothing. It's about saying, this didn't work this time, and that's my chance to grow. Without that acceptance, you repeat the same mistakes, stuck in a cycle of frustration. With it, you evolve into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. The growth that comes from accepting rejection is also emotional. It builds resilience. Every time you accept rejection without letting it break you, your tolerance for adversity increases. You realize that rejection isn't fatal, it's survivable. That realization makes you fearless. You're no longer terrified of hearing no because you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. And that fearlessness opens doors, because the person who isn't paralyzed by the thought of rejection will take more risks, pursue bigger dreams, and push further than the person who hides. Fear of rejection builds walls, but acceptance of rejection demolishes them. There's also a deeper layer of growth here. Acceptance teaches humility. It reminds you that the world doesn't owe you anything, that success isn't handed out like candy, and that even your best effort might not always be enough, but that humility isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It keeps you grounded, hungry, and willing to learn. When you think you're entitled to everything you desire, rejection crushes you. But when you accept that rejection is part of the process, you stop feeling entitled and start feeling empowered to earn your victories. Acceptance also gives you perspective. It allows you to look back months or years later and realize that some rejections were actually blessings in disguise. How many times in life have you been devastated by rejection only to realize later that the path you were denied was never meant for you? A job that didn't hire you cleared the way for a better career. A relationship that ended made space for one that truly fulfills you. A business idea that was rejected pushed you to develop a stronger, more impactful vision. Without acceptance, you can't see these truths. You cling to the closed door. With acceptance, you learn to trust that life is redirecting you toward growth. The act of accepting rejection also fuels discipline. When you accept it, you don't wallow, you work. You take the lesson hid in the rejection and use it to sharpen your skills, refine your approach, and prepare for the next opportunity. Every rejection becomes a blueprint for improvement. Athletes train harder after being cut. Entrepreneurs rethink their strategy after failed pitches. Artists refine their craft after countless declined submissions. None of that growth would happen if they refused to accept rejection in the first place. Acceptance turns rejection into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. What separates the great from the ordinary is not talent alone, but the ability to embrace rejection, accept it, and turn into fuel. The average person lets rejection kill their confidence, while the exceptional person lets rejection build it. Every no becomes part of the foundation for a stronger yes later. The key is acceptance, because without it, you carry rejection like a wound. With it, you carry rejection like a lesson. So the next time rejection comes, don't fight it, don't deny it, don't pretend it doesn't sting. Feel the pain. Yes, but then accept it. Accept that it happened. Accept that it's part of the process. Accept that it has something to teach you. Once you accept it, you strip it of its power to hold you back, and you claim its power to move you forward. That's how rejection fuels growth, not by destroying you, but by forcing you to rise beyond who you were yesterday. Stop begging for validation. Earn it. This is one of the hardest lessons to swallow because deep inside, every human being craves recognition. We want others to notice our effort, acknowledge our worth, and confirm that what we're doing matters. But when you build your life on the need for external validation, you hand your power to people who may never truly see your value. You end up dancing for their approval, adjusting your actions to fit their expectations, and suffocating your dreams just to be accepted. Begging for validation is weakness. It traps you in a cycle where your confidence rises and falls depending on someone else's opinion. The truth is, if you want validation that lasts, you can't ask for it. You have to earn it. Earning validation means building yourself into someone undeniable. It's proving through results and resilience that you don't need to scream, beg, or convince anyone to see your worth. Your actions, your consistency, and your success will speak louder than any words you could ever say. The greatest people in history didn't beg others to believe in them. They worked relentlessly, created results that couldn't be ignored, and let their achievements demand recognition. If you want people to respect you, stop chasing their approval and start building the kind of life that forces them to notice. When you beg for validation, you expose insecurity. You give others control over your emotions. If they applaud you, you feel worthy. If they ignore you, you feel worthless. That's not power, that's dependency. But when you earn validation, you detach from the need for constant reassurance. You become grounded in your own work, your own discipline, and your own vision. You no longer ask, do you think I'm good enough? Because your results are proof that you are. People respect those who prove themselves, not those who constantly seek attention. Earning validation isn't about arrogance, it's about responsibility. It's taking ownership of your goals, your performance, and your progress without waiting for anyone to crown you worthy. When you stop asking for approval and start delivering undeniable value, something powerful happens. You stop chasing people and they start chasing you. Instead of needing validation to move forward, your work becomes the validation itself. Every rep in the gym, every hour spent learning, every sacrifice you make when no one is watching, that's the silent validation that one day turns into loud recognition. The reason so many people stay stuck is because they want shortcuts to respect. They want applause without sacrifice, admiration without effort, and recognition without results. But the world doesn't work like that. Nobody is obligated to validate you simply because you exist. Validation is earned in the sweat, the grind, the sleepless nights, the failures, and the persistence that others can't see. It's earned by refusing to quit when rejection slaps you, by proving yourself through action, not words. When you do that, you won't have to beg anyone to respect you. They'll respect you because they have no choice. Stop scrolling through social media, waiting for likes and comments to confirm your value. Stop begging for attention from people who don't even respect themselves. Stop seeking constant reassurance from friends, family, or strangers. Every second you waste looking for validation is a second you could have spent building yourself into someone unshakable. Do you think greatness is built on likes and compliments? No. Greatness is built in silence, in discipline, in solitude. It's built when nobody is clapping for you, when nobody is watching, when nobody believes, and you still show up, work harder, and push further. That's how you earn validation, by turning doubt into undeniable success. When you stop begging for validation, you also build self-respect. You start to validate yourself through your actions, through the pride of knowing you didn't quit, through the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. The most powerful form of validation doesn't come from others. It comes from the mirror. Can you look at yourself and honestly say you gave everything? Can you look at your reflection and feel proud, even if nobody else notices? That's the foundation of real confidence. External validation might feel good for a moment, but self-validation lasts a lifetime. Understand this. The people who once ignored you will one day study you. The people who doubted you will one day use your name as an example of what's possible. The people who wouldn't validate you when you begged will validate you when you've earned it. And by then, you won't even need it anymore. That's the irony of life. The less you chase validation, the more it chases you. So stop begging. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to shine. Stop needing people to clap for you before you take action. Start earning it. Start building results so undeniable that silence turns into applause. Prove yourself through what you do, not what you say. At the end of the day, validation is sweetest when it's earned because it doesn't come from pity, charity, or obligation. It comes from respect. And respect, unlike validation, handed out carelessly, can't be faked. It's real, it's solid, and it lasts. The only way to claim that kind of validation is to stop chasing it and start working for it. Let your results speak, let your consistency speak, let your greatness speak. The world doesn't owe you recognition, but if you earn it, the world won't be able to deny you. Rejection is redirection towards strength. When you face rejection, it feels like the world is pushing you away, like a door you desperately wanted to walk through has been slammed shut in your face. It stings, it humiliates, it bruises your ego. But if you look deeper, rejection isn't just a denial, it's guidance. It's life, the universe, or whatever you believe in saying, not here, not this way, not yet. It doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means there's another path that will forge you into something stronger. Rejection doesn't destroy you unless you let it. Instead, it redirects you, forcing you to build muscles of resilience, patience, and determination that you never would have developed if everything came easy. Think about every time you've been told no. Did it not force you to question yourself? To analyze? To grow? If you'd gotten the yes the first time, you'd have walked in soft, untested, and unprepared. But rejection toughens you. It demands that you get sharper, that you refine your approach, that you strengthen your character. When the door closes, you're pushed toward another one, and every step along that path adds to your strength. It's like a blacksmith forging steel. The metal doesn't become strong by being left untouched. It's beaten, bent, and tempered under fire. That's exactly what rejection does to you. Rejection also redirects your focus. Sometimes you chase things that aren't truly right for you. People, jobs, opportunities, goals you think you want. Rejection pulls those illusions away and points you toward where your energy actually belongs. You might think you're losing something important, but often rejection is saving you from wasting years of your life on something beneath your potential. That relationship that ended, it's because there's someone out there who fits you better. That opportunity you missed, it's because a bigger one is coming, but you need to grow before you can handle it. Without rejection, you'd cling to the wrong things and stay weak. With rejection, you're forced to keep moving until you find what truly makes you strong. The beauty of rejection as redirection is that it doesn't just change your path, it changes you. Every rejection leaves a scar. But scars are proof that you survive, proof that you're tougher than you were before. At first, you may think rejection is punishment, but in reality, it's preparation. It prepares you to handle the weight of success, because if you can't handle no, you'll never survive the responsibilities that come with yes. Rejection trains your mind to face pressure, your heart to withstand pain, and your will to remain unbreakable. That's the strength you earn only through redirection. Consider this: the most inspiring stories you've ever heard are built on rejection. Authors rejected by dozens of publishers before becoming bestsellers. Athletes cut from teams before becoming legends. Entrepreneurs turned down by investors before building billion-dollar companies. Each rejection forced them to level up, to reinvent themselves, to fight harder. Without rejection, they wouldn't have become strong enough to succeed. The no was not the end. It was the redirection that gave them the strength to rise higher than they ever imagined. When you see rejection as redirection, you stop fearing it. Instead of breaking down when the door closes, you start asking, where is this pushing me? What strength is this moment trying to build in me? That mindset transforms rejection from something that defeats you into something that empowers you. You're no longer a victim of circumstances, you're a fighter shaped by them. And with each rejection, you're redirected toward the version of yourself that can handle anything. This is why the strongest people in the world are often the most rejected. They've faced the no so many times that it no longer weakens them, it sharpens them. They've been redirected so often that they've learned to trust the process, to see rejection not as a wall, but as a compass, pointing them towards something greater. Every time they turn away, they gather more strength, and eventually they become unstoppable. So the next time rejection hits, don't fall into despair. Don't think of it as a sign that you're not enough. See it for what it really is. A push, a correction, a redirection towards strength. Let it sting, let it hurt, but don't let it break you. Stand back up, adjust your path, and keep moving forward. Because every rejection is carving out the weakness in you and replacing it with steel. Every no is a weight added to the bar, forcing you to get stronger as you lift it. One day, you'll look back at the rejections you thought were the end and realize they were the very moments that made you. They were the turning points, the fires that tempered your spirit, the arrows that redirected you toward your true destiny. Rejection doesn't push you down, it pushes you forward. And every time it does, it leaves behind a stronger, fiercer, more resilient version of you. Rejection is not the end. It's the redirection that makes you unstoppable. Own the pain, turn it into power. Pain is something we all try to run from. The sting of rejection, the ache of failure, the weight of betrayal, the emptiness of loss. It cuts deep, and the natural instinct is to hide, to numb it, to bury it under distractions. But the truth is, pain is not your enemy. Pain is energy. It is raw, unfiltered power sitting in your chest like a fire, waiting for you to either smother it or harness it. When you avoid pain, it festers into weakness. When you own it, when you accept it, when you grip it with both hands and use it, pain becomes your greatest weapon. It gives you strength, drive, and clarity that nothing else can. Every person who has risen to greatness has owned their pain. They didn't deny it. They didn't pretend they were untouched. They looked pain in the eye, felt every ounce of it, and then redirected it into fuel. That's why their victories are so powerful, because behind every achievement is a mountain of pain they refused to waste. Your pain is proof you've lived, proof you've cared, proof you've tried. Instead of burying it, turn it into the reason. You move harder, push further, and refuse to quit. Pain is not meant to paralyze you, it's meant to propel you. When you own pain, you strip it of its power to control you. Most people run from pain, and because of that, they remain its victim. They let it dictate their choices, keep them small, or make them bitter. But when you take ownership of it, when you say, this is mine, and I will use it, the same pain that once threatened to break you becomes the reason you rise. That heartbreak can either make you afraid to love again, or it can teach you resilience and the ability to give love with strength. That failure can either convince you to never try again, or it can sharpen your focus until success becomes inevitable. Pain only destroys those who refuse to own it. The process of turning pain into power begins with acceptance. Don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend it doesn't hurt. Feel it fully. Let it cut you open, because in that opening lies the space for growth. Once you accept it, you can redirect it. That's what athletes do when they train harder after a loss. That's what entrepreneurs do when they rebuild after going broke. That's what survivors do when they refuse to let tragedy define them. Pain becomes power when you decide that the very thing meant to weaken you will be the thing that strengthens you. Think of pain as weight in the gym. The heavier the weight, the harder it is to lift. But the more you lift it, the stronger you become. Life hands you pain in the same way it hands you weight. You can drop it and complain about how heavy it is, or you can grip it, push through the strain, and build muscles no one can see until later. That is the transformation. Pain doesn't vanish. It transforms into power through resistance. Each tear, each rejection, each failure is a repetition, and every repetition makes you harder to break. When you own your pain, you also discover a deeper purpose. Some of the most impactful people in the world didn't succeed because life was kind to them. They succeeded because life was brutal. Their pain gave them perspective, empathy, and determination. They chose to use their wounds as wisdom, their scars as stories, their struggles as strength. Pain gave them a voice, a reason, a cause bigger than themselves. Without pain, they wouldn't have had the fuel to inspire, to build, to lead. Pain carved their character, and their decision to own it turned them into powerhouses. Pain is also the clearest teacher. It exposes your weaknesses, reveals your blind spots, and shows you where you must improve. If you're willing to own it, pain gives you lessons no success could ever teach. Success makes you comfortable, but pain makes you conscious. It forces you to pay attention, to adapt, to change. That awareness becomes power because it prevents you from making the same mistakes and pushes you to evolve faster than those who refuse to face their hurt. But here's the truth. Turning pain into power is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires that you don't collapse when life gets unfair, that you don't drown in self-pity, that you don't let bitterness poison your potential. Owning pain means carrying it like fuel in your veins rather than chains on your back. It means waking up every day with the determination to make your suffering worth something, to transform it into a force that drives you forward instead of holding you down. So the next time life crushes you and your chest feels heavy and your heart feels broken, don't run from it. Don't waste your pain on tears alone. Own it. Say to yourself, this will not destroy me, this will feed me. Channel it into your work, into your growth, into your future. Make your pain the reason you refuse to quit, the reason you train harder, the reason you fight stronger. Because in the end, the difference between those who crumble and those who conquer is simple. The conquerors owned their pain and turned it into power. Pain is inevitable, but power is a choice. And the choice is always yours. At the end of the day, rejection, failure, heartbreak, and pain are not the things that define you. They are the things that refine you. Every no you've ever heard, every door that closed, every tear you've shed has been shaping you into someone unbreakable. You can either let those moments chain you down, or you can use them as the very bricks to build your empire. Life will not hand you validation. It will not hand you comfort. It will not hand you easy victories. What it will hand you is resistance, struggle, and pain. And those are the exact gifts that will force you to grow into the strongest version of yourself. So stop begging for approval. Stop fearing rejection. Stop hiding from pain. Own every scar, accept every failure, and use every ounce of your suffering as fuel to rise. Because strength is never given. It is earned through the battles you thought would break you, but instead made you unstoppable. Remember this: the world doesn't reward the ones who avoid rejection. It rewards the ones who turn rejection into redirection, pain into power, and struggle into success. The choice is yours. Be broken or be built.